Howdy folks and welcome back. So hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and we're coming up on the New Year, so I figured I'd do a best gear review, the things that I found that worked the best for me throughout the year, and I've really geeked out hard on finding decent gear. Some of it's kind of pricey, some of it's kind of budget minded, and I'll make notes of that as we go on through. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, first things first. These are kind of pricey. These are the Fjallraven Vidda Pro Ventilated pants. So, lots of pockets. Does not have back pockets. It has basically a phone pocket here with a strap inside to help keep the phone in place. That works quite well. It has a kind of a tool pocket that runs down behind that, which I really don't use, but it has a snap. I guess maybe for a small folding saw it might work quite well. And then two pockets on this side. And it works well for a wallet and maybe a notebook or something larger like that. These things are made of G1000 fabric, which means it's waxable. I have not waxed them. I got two pairs of these. I found them on sale for $125 a pair. Also, my wife trolled me and embroidered a possum upside down, surrounded in daisies on the back. Thank you. And I didn't even catch it for a couple of days. So great pants. They wear like iron. I've had these, so I bought these about 7 weeks ago, and I've worn them non-stop. Great pants. They're comfortable. They fit really well. The ventilated part really does work. It helps get air into your legs. And I had bought another pair of pants that were like insulated, and that was the main complaint. They weren't ventilated in any way, and you wind up like freezing at first and then roasting, kind of getting sweaty and everything later on. So these are much better than that. The runner-up for pants would have to be, would have to be the Lee Slim. That's the pants that I'm wearing right now. They're kind of stretchy, and they're really comfortable pants. If these things had cargo pockets on them like these have, I don't know. I guess these would still win, but these would be close. All right, moving on. Undergarments, like base layers. It seems like a lot of people don't know about these. This is the United States military waffle pattern, and these things are really warm and they dry out really quick. That's pants. They come in shirts as well. They're comfortable. They don't stink, kind of like merino wool. Like, they're really top notch, and you can find these cheap. Like $25 for a bottom, $25 for a top. Surplus, you'd probably find them cheaper than that even. I'll give those things an absolute great review. They're warmer than merino, and they wear like iron, just like everything military surplus usually does, and they're warm. The other one is Merino Tech. Merino Tech as a company, like, I've bought quite a few of their things. Socks, their socks are okay. I haven't bought their heavyweights. I think they're mid-weight socks, so they're okay. They're warm enough. I think there's better socks out there, but as far as their tops and long johns and the Neck Gaiter from them, this stuff is great. It's all merino wool, and yeah, like, no complaints there. Really good stuff. I like the heavier weight. I think the 320 weight better than the thinner stuff. The Neck Gaiter, this thing's just right because you can actually breathe through it when you put it on. I'll demonstrate. I think it's on upside down, but that's okay. You can breathe through it pretty well. It doesn't fog up my glasses too badly, like a lot of them do. And you can also tuck it up over your ears, and you can still hear through this. So if I was out hunting, being able to hear what's around me is really important. Great piece of kit. I like that. If it gets cold enough, that thing comes in real handy. All right. Now, I did a video on the Vans MTE leather shoes, which I happen to be wearing again. They're great. I love them. They're waterproof. No complaints there. The slight complaint would be there would be a reflective strip on the back, which I'm not too keen on. And for whatever reason, wet sawdust clings to the bottom of them. Like, you got to knock them out. So if I'm up on scaffolding carving, I got to keep knocking my shoes up. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. I don't think that they pre-planned that and said, when we design this shoe, we need to make sure that wet sawdust doesn't stick to them. Yeah, completely conditional. But yeah, great shoes. Love them. I've worn them non-stop since September when I got them. Okay, next up. Fjallraven Greenland Wax. So this stuff you basically, I've used a lot of it. You put it on fabric, you kind of use a heavy hand and drag it on there, and then use a hair dryer to melt it into the fabric, and it works great on their G1000 fabric, but it also works on things like hats, and I have a Gore-Tex jacket which just started leaking. It's a military surplus jacket. Like, I wore it out in the rain and I was soaked pretty quickly. I used this stuff, I wore it out last night and it was pouring rain. The dog was completely saturated and I was dry. So I had 2 little leaks right up at the seams, and went back this morning, added a little bit more wax there. So that's just 2, one main shot on the whole thing, and then 1 little touch up on the seams that leaked. And that should do it. Okay, moving along. Let's see, what do we got next? This thing's very expensive, but very awesome. This is the Fjallraven Parka. This is called the Singi Parka, S-I-N-G-I. And I'd say the biggest complaint that I have around here is that it doesn't get really cold enough to actually need something this warm. It is fantastic. It's like putting a sleeping bag on. It is awesome. And I got this through their Preloved. On their website they have like a Preloved, so it's used stuff or stuff that was probably returned, because I found one little issue with this, and I think it was probably a return, and that was where was it? Yeah, the little dangler on the end of the string on this side was missing, just ripped off. So I just tied a knot there, and I saved like almost half. But it's a very expensive piece of gear, but it's fantastic, and it probably can't be beat. Okay, Parka, check. Socks. So I tried a bunch of different brands of wool socks. I tried Under Armour, Merino Tech, alpaca wool, and I came back to this. Real Tree from Walmart. These things aren't really cheap, but they're warm. They're the warmest socks that I have. These are the heavyweight ones, and I got these for Christmas because I was like, yes, that's the brand that I want. I'm wearing them now. Another pair from before, but yeah, these things are the warmest socks I've run across. They're merino wool blend, but they got it right. Yes, warm socks, very important. Neck Gaiter we already did. Okay, the blanket. So what we did here, this is my wife's handiwork. We took a military poncho liner, and I said, it's a little too big to be a shemagh or that sort of thing. So measured it out to 48 inches by 48 inches as a square, and took it all apart, took all the stitching out, and we sewed in, I say we, she sewed in a layer of this military tarp. So this is the ripstop pattern stuff. These are pretty cheap. These are like 12 bucks each, in not very good condition, but I mean, I only needed a piece that was 4 foot by 4 foot to make this work, and then sewed that in, so restitched everything. So it still has the insulating layer, and then it's got a tarp layer. So for using this as a wrap when you're sitting around the campfire, all right, it's just right. For using it as a ground pad for camping, throw this down, you can sleep corner to corner, and it's 5'7" point to point. If I curl up, I can get on this completely. And you can also use it for a head wrap or a neck wrap. It's got a lot of uses, and the size was important. Because now it will pack down much, quite small, and fit just about anywhere. Great piece of kit. I like it. She did a wonderful job restitching it. Also, she used nylon thread to re-sew it so that it would be quite strong, not just cotton thread. Now, I'd say the one drawback is when she re-sewed it, you had to punch through the tarp. You just have to. So it's not completely waterproof. I could probably take some Greenland wax and just go down the stitch lines, but how waterproof does it need to be? It's not like I'm going to be carrying 30 gallons of water in it. You know, it just needs to keep the moisture off of me at night when I'm camping. Okay. Now onto the cool stuff. Let's do tools. So, obviously the Leatherman Surge. So I've got some things that I'm going to be doing to this in the very near future as soon as the parts come in, which I've waited almost a month for. But in the meantime, I've taken the Stihl file that I machined to make fit in there, and I've added a drill bit on the end. So you can take a piece of wood. I thought I had one sitting here for this. Not very prepared. Here it is. Okay, you take a piece of wood and actually drill right through it, kind of like a spade bit. It would be a slow process, but it would get it done. So yeah, it kind of eats right through. And all I've done is just sharpen that, you know, 2 different planes on the front. Okay, let's not stab myself in the eye with it. And then I've added the fixed blade saw off the Wave Plus, and that took some welding. I did another video on that, and a chisel and a gouge and a knife blade, and just kind of modified it. So really good piece of kit. I like how easy this thing is to modify, and there's, you know, quite a few parts available. Like if you go on eBay, you can do some swapping around. All right, next up, the Silky saw. So this is not that great in hardwood, but then again, what would be? I'm not sure. So I've tried it in locust, and it's like, man, that's a lot of work, but it's locust. So it's like one of the hardest woods in the United States. It's a great saw. I like the double profile. It'd probably be much, much better in softwoods. But yeah, I love it. The belt clip, and I've added some leather in there to make it anti-rattle. It's a really good saw. Kind of pricey, but you get what you pay for in that case. This was not that pricey. This is the Stihl chainsaw brand axe. I guess it's their forestry axe. It's only got a 2-pound head. Oh, come on. Like I've done this a few times. And to that, I've gone and just re-profiled the handle so that you can choke up on it pretty well for doing small work, because it's very square when you get it. Just took the angle grinder and gouged that out. I added the parachute cord in case you overshoot and bump the handle. You don't want to crack the handle, like you know, chip the handle, that sort of thing. So parachute cord there. I've also drilled the end and added a lanyard. If you're chopping ice, run your hand through it, so this way you don't lose your axe in the pond. All right, great. Okay, so this run about 50 bucks, 45 bucks, something like that. It's pretty darn decent. I've heard other people complaining that the head gets loose, but I haven't had that issue. It's a little soft. You know, you do have to sharpen it fairly frequently. It's not the hardest metal on earth. There's probably better axes out there, but there's probably not better axes for 45, 50 bucks. So, good little axe, I like it. Another find that I came up with was, I was looking for snare wire. So 20 or 20, anyway, around 20 gauge. And yeah, I found some like picture hanging carbon steel wire at like Lowe's or Home Depot, like the Hillman brand or whatever, and that's fine. It's not bad stuff. But I was looking for stainless steel. Somebody else did a video, and I saw this little blue canister sitting in the background. I'm like, huh, wonder what that is. And it's stainless steel wire, so it's 032 gauge, or 0 inches, which works out to be the same size as 20 gauge. And it comes in this handy little 1-pound spool, which has a belt clip on it. And this is actually for airplane, for wiring the bolts and that sort of thing. And I used this when I built an airplane way back when. But so I was like, I wonder where do you get this? And I remembered one of the suppliers that we had was called Aircraft Spuce, and I looked them up. These are like the same price as buying the carbon steel wire, and you don't get this handy little container for it or anything. And it's like, man, that's the way to go. So if you're looking for snare wire or for bushcrafting wire, this stuff is fantastic. All right, last for cordage. You know, there's a lot of knockoff or cheap parachute cord out there that's made of polyester. This is Tough Grid brand. It's made in the United States. It's rated for actually 550 pounds. It's great. It doesn't cost much more than the Walmart, you know, polyester garbage. I say garbage. It works in a pinch, but it's it's certainly not this stuff. Like, this is the real deal, and it's American made. Can't go wrong with it. All right, last thing, not last thing, but almost last thing. The Nebo Micro. This is a headlamp. I wear this every day, like every night. I wouldn't generally wear it in the day unless I forget it on my head, which has happened. Get some strange looks, but it's rechargeable. It puts out decent light. It has 3 different brightness settings. Okay, so that's green, that's bright, dimmer, dimmest, and then it also has a red function. The red is really dim, and I see that there's other Nebo small headlamps, but this is probably their smallest one that I've seen. I've had it for over a year, works great. I love the fact that it's rechargeable, so if you go, out camping, you can bring a brick with you and then just charge it, and this thing doesn't take a lot of juice to recharge, so good to have. Then you don't have to bring all these spare batteries and things. It's also been, I've saturated this thing out in the rain and never had a problem. So good little headlamp, and it was only, I don't know, under 30 bucks, we'll say that. All right, the last thing is the bow. We're looking for a bow, a recurve bow for me, and I found this one. It's an OMP brand at a bow shop. It's like the only recurve they had on the shelf. I do need to replace the string sometime too soon because I must have nicked it on something there, maybe a branch or something. The arrows, the arrows kind of make the bow, but at the same time, these are just cheap Amazon arrows. They get the job done, and I killed a deer with them. Yeah, great bow. I really impressed with this. 45-pound draw, 62-inch, and it was only like 139 bucks, but that's how they get you. The bow isn't that much, but then everything else starts racking up, like extra string, and the arrow holder, and the silencers. The quiver. But yeah, so you wind up spending $500 and then still wishing you'd spent more because you want to change things around. But that's how it goes. Yeah, pretty accurate with it. I would like to take it small game hunting, but I haven't done that yet. One of these days I will. And I got a bunch of different tips for the arrows and that sort of thing. All right, so yeah, what stands out as the top item, the one thing that's better than everything else? I'm going to say the Vidda Pro pants. They're just fantastic. They just work. They wear so well. Like I said, I've worn them every single day for 6-7 weeks. I think I've worn jeans once and these pants right now just to do the video. They're great. They're just great. They're well worth the 200 or whatever bucks. I think I got them for $125 on sale through REI. Yep. All right, guys. So hope that gives you some ideas on like what works and what doesn't. I hate spending money, like good hard-earned money, on junk gear, and I've done it a few times this year, and it's like, oh man, I just want to throw these pants in the trash, but they were $110 or whatever, Live and learn. So hopefully I'm helping you learn, so you don't have to spend your money on garbage. Have a good day.